Hi, I'm Kate Adriani for the IC Female Roundtable Wonder Woman series. Dr. Bridget Cooper defines herself as a cage rattler, thought shifter, and change strategist. She is a woman on a mission to awaken people to their power and potential so they can change the world one person at a time. Bridget is also an entrepreneur and an author of 5 books, which are Feed the Need Teen Edition, Stuck You, Power Play, and Little Landslides. Please welcome Dr. Bridget Cooper.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm here with you. How could I be any better, right?
So can you help us to understand what a cage rattler and a thought shifter really are?
Okay, so I came up with the idea of cage rattler because I find that people are trapped in thinking that doesn't serve them oftentimes and creates problems in their interpersonal relationships and in their relationship with themselves. And so I rattled the cage they're trapped in to awaken them to open the door and just come out and to be able to see things differently and therefore feel and behave differently.
And I know in your 5 books you do talk about being a cage rattler and a thought shifter. Can you help us to understand what each one of your books is about?
Sure. So Feed the Need is about communication and conflict, and it looks at understanding the reasons behind conflict that we have and why we aren't finding ourselves in successful relationships or successful experiences from a very different vantage point. And then, as you know, Feed the Need Teen Edition, it's for teens. It's just written for teens. You had the idea, it came from you, and so you wrote the foreword, and that's the one that we're displaying here. And it helps teens understand where they begin and end and how to carve boundaries in their personal relationships, how to see what's really important for them to pursue so that they can be more satisfied in their lives. It's a book I wish I'd had when I was a teen because I could have saved myself a whole lot of drama. And then the third book is called Stuck You, and it's a guidebook for change. I do a lot of change strategy with organizations and with people, and it really outlines a 5-step process for change where you can understand how you can own your power within any change that may be happening around you or something that you want to do for yourself. The 4th book is Power Play, which is a commentary on what is destroying organizational culture, and it looks at the roots of those problems and how to alleviate some of those symptoms and the problems that are underneath them. And then the 5th book is Little Landslides, which is my personal memoir, my growing up memoir about how we rise up through trauma and how we can have a different relationship to the things that have happened to us so that we can be more empowered going forward.
With going off of Little Landslides, you did a TED Talk in Newport about 2 weeks ago. The theme was capsize, and I know we've talked about having capsized relationships or problems in our everyday life, and the reason you did capsize was because of Little Landslides.
Correct.
Can you tell us how you found out about the TED Talk?
Sure, yeah. So TED Talks, a lot of people think there's this mysterious process. They're posted on the TED website, and there are TEDx talks going on all around the world any given day. And so I had made a commitment to myself in 2017, because that's when Little Landslides came out on January 1, that I was going to have a TED Talk, that I really thought that was a platform for me to be able to communicate my message of healing and empowerment in a way that my talks in smaller venues just don't provide. So I looked into Newport because I love Newport. Who doesn't love Newport? But also because they had the theme last year, Tides of Change, and then they put out this year that it was going to be capsized. And I thought, there is nothing that explains my experience in life better than being capsized, of having everything turn upside down on you and have to right your ship and move forward. And that was really the story of Little Landslides as well. So I just thought that would be the perfect spot.
Can you tell us the process of applying, figuring out what to talk about in your speech, and then finding out when you were able to do the TED Talk, when you were selected? And I know I got the text when you were selected.
Oh gosh, yes.
But could you give us, the viewers, a little bit more of information on how to do that?
Absolutely. So on the TED website, they have this layout of all the different TED Talks that are happening in the next, maybe 18 months, 24 months. And so what I did is I looked at geographic limitations to see how far did I want to travel to be able to do a TED Talk, not only for the day of, but for all the preparation, which I'll cover beforehand. And so you find that, and then you go to that website of each of the individual TED Talks, and they have usually an online form. It's very brief, doesn't ask for a lot of information, so you're very curious as to how are they going to figure out if I'm the person to select. But it asks them, like, they ask you, what is your idea worth sharing? And they ask often for a video clip of you so that they can tell kind of what's your personality. And for me, I sent a pitch video which said, hey, I know I wrote up my pitch idea, but I'd really like to tell you in person what that looks like. So I did that. And then you wait, and depending on when you've applied and how long the process stays open, you could be waiting for a month, you could be waiting for 6 months. So in the case of Newport, I think I applied in November, and in mid-December they wrote to me and they said, so we need a little more information from you, and this is right as the holidays were hitting. I'm like, bring it, what do you need from me right now? I'll give it to you. And so they wanted another video, they wanted a longer explanation of the talk, they wanted me to kind of go in detail, more of a deep dive of my concept. And then they said they'd get back to me within a week, and they did. And so on December 30th was when they wrote back, called me and offered me the spot. And within seconds or minutes, I was texting you and several other people. And within 15 minutes, I put a post on Facebook and letting the entire world know, only to find out a week later that they said, so by the way, we're going to handle the social media campaign about the TEDx talk, so don't post anything. And I thought, the 400 or 500 people that liked my post already, I apologize. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to tell you, but anyway, so.
But I mean, you did have a lot of people at this talk 2 weeks ago, which you talked about the secret to making pain hurt less, which was about how to forgive somebody who's really hurt you and to set up boundaries. How has that helped you in your own life?
Yeah, so the TED Talk was about my personal experience, which is chronicled in Little Landslides, of rising up through trauma. I had a very traumatic childhood, a lot of people do, and there were people who were very injurious to me. And what I found was that at first I was holding that pain to hold people away from me, to keep myself protected, and to validate the experience. A lot of us who go through trauma, you know, we relive that experience over and over again, in some ways to say, this happened to me, this hurt, this was wrong. And I did that, and what ended up happening was I ended up hurting more. They were carefree, or in some cases dead, and it didn't matter what I was going through to them, but it mattered to me and the people who were touching my life. And so I came to understand that what forgiveness allows you to do is not to excuse what they did, not to minimize what happened to you, but to say, I need freedom from this. I deserve better than this. I don't need to go keep reliving the things that you did to me, to know that they mattered, to know that they hurt. I get stronger when I release that experience. So that's really what the TED Talk was about saying that in this new relationship to the word forgiveness, which a lot of people think is this awful word, we get told we're supposed to forgive, but somehow that seems scary because they might come back and hurt us some more. So in the talk, I described that you can let go of the experience and let go of your pain around the experience so that you can have freedom and power. But you can also say, you don't get to come close to me again because you're dangerous and you're not safe to me. And so you need to stay away without holding that hate and hurt to hold them away, but to hold boundaries, my favorite B word.
That's my favorite B word too, is boundaries. And you and I have talked a lot about forgiveness and boundaries and how difficult it is for teens. Do you have any tricks that can help teens and specifically college students help minimize the pain that we feel?
Yeah, so it's hard, because I think one of the things about growing up, this development, just from a developmental standpoint, when we're born and when we are in our early youth, we don't see a separation between us and other people. That's how we survive. We see ourselves as extensions of the people who are around us. And when those people are unhealthy, that can be really toxic. And as we grow up, we learn and get into our teen years and into our early 20s, we're like, wait a second, okay, that is your crazy over there. I got enough of my crazy right here. I cannot handle taking yours on. And we start recognizing that separation really serves us. And one of the things that some people confuse about letting people close is they feel like, oh, well, but if I don't take on their crazy, then I'm not a caring person. So in particular, a lot of women get confused about that, and they get into really toxic relationships thinking that the way they show caring is by becoming immersed in somebody else's pain. And what I try to teach people is that the way that you can actually help them is by staying in your own space, in your own clarity, and in your own power. And then and only then can you really offer pure, beautiful help to somebody else. So it's just being like, you know what? And I joke with the bubble concept,
Yes.
which you know.
The bubble concept is one of my favorites.
Oh my God, I love the bubbles. Yeah, so I had a really seriously crazy family, so I came by the bubble concept naturally. The bubble concept is basically like, I am in a bubble and I see you, I feel for you, I love you, I can care about you, but I cannot let your crazy become part of my crazy, because again, I've got enough in here. So it's just imagining a see-through bubble that just allows all of the world's crazy to hit the outside of the bubble, to slide on down, and to not take up space inside where you are. It's not about walls, it's not about anger, it's just about clarity that if I let your stuff come in here, neither one of us are going to be in a good state of mind. So I can watch you as observer, and in that space I can actually care more about you in a far healthier and more satisfying way.
And lastly, I know in your TED Talk you started off with Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Could you tell us what Wonder Woman means to you, and especially to women, and why we need to be Wonder Women of ourselves?
And I love that you're kicking off this series, and I love that I'm part of it. So in my TED Talk, how I started off the kind of message was that I said that I had a superpower like Wonder Woman has a superpower, and mine is walking through fire. And I walk through fire because I'm able to hold boundaries and hold myself in my bubble to be able to not allow the fire of others to become my fire. And so Wonder Woman, to me, that symbolism was about her walking through that barren wasteland of a battlefield and only holding her courage and her love and a shield to be able to move through all of that attack. And I think that's what we're all called to do, is to go forward with courage and with love first and foremost, and to hold people back versus attacking others. And that's really a superpower in and of itself.
Well, Bridget, thank you so much for being here for the premiere of the Wonder Woman series on IC Female Roundtable.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.